What's going on, guys? Clay with the Pennsylvania Rollercoaster Club. And would you believe that even though we don't have a completed steel curtain, and even though there's been no announcements and no plans that have been filed or discovered, would you believe that we already know the next roller coaster for Kennywood? Or at least have it narrowed down to just a couple. And of course, this video is primarily speculation, but behind most of our speculation, there's at least several granulars of fact. And that's what I'd like to kind of take a peek at today. Let's look at the facts of Kennywood. What we know, what we don't know. And see if perhaps we can start to narrow down what's going to be Act 2 once the curtain is finally up and running again the way that it should, the way that it's supposed to. I think that perhaps you're going to be a little bit surprised. I think perhaps you're going to be a little floored even with some of the possibilities that could potentially come to this park. But there is one that I like more than others. So first off, let's talk Parque Reunidos. Now, Parques Reunidos, they are the parent company to Palace Entertainment, which owns Kennywood and several other parks in America. Now, if we look at the roller coasters purchased by Parques Reunidos since 2014, in the last 10 years, there's been one Premier, one Gravity Group, 2 Intamin, 3 Mach, 3 Mauer, 3 Zamperla, 4 S&S Sansei, and 9 Gerstlauers. Let's talk about these one by one. Premier rides. The one ride that has been added to Parque Parks has been Phobia Fear Coaster over at Lake Compounce. And really, mum's been the word, so I don't see it being Premier. Now, Gravity Group, they are responsible at Storyland for Rorosaurus, of course. But, I mean, that's really not a great fit for Kennywood. I don't see him needing another wooden coaster right now. Intamin, one of the two that was added, I mean, a pretty exciting Intamin multi-launch Batman Gotham City Escape. But I definitely don't see Kennywood getting one of those. And Mach rides, they have added 3, and I don't necessarily see Mach rides being within Kennywood's budget per se. They are known to be on the more expensive end. Mauer, now I don't necessarily rule this out completely, which we'll talk about a little bit later. They have added 3 Mauers, and all the same model, one of these spinners. And Zamperla, they have added 3. It's going to be 4, but technically we only credit it with 3 because one of those 4 is just being relocated from another Parques park to another Parques park. S&S Sansei, they have had 4 added. But, I mean... oh, wait a minute. What the heck's going on? Apparently, even my computer doesn't like S&S Sansei at this point. Now, Gerstlauer, 9 added. And that's kind of where we want to start. We obviously know that S&S is probably not going to put another roller coaster in Kennywood as long as we're alive. Gerstlauer, on the other hand, different story. Now, that X there with the arrow, that shows where people are walking into the park and going under the road by Skyrocket at the entrance. That circle right there, that is where I've been speculating for the last 2 years that the next Kennywood roller coaster will go, and I still feel that way wholeheartedly. Unless Kennywood decides to address the Exterminator first, or, for that matter, potentially address something in Kittyland. Now, the Exterminator's been rumored to be on its way out for a while, but we don't really know for sure. But let's look, what models from Gerstlauer fit the Kennywood mold? And before we can answer that, we need to know what is the Kennywood mold. So we need inexpensive, we need compact, and we need unique. Very key elements for Kennywood. So, what are some of the things that potentially fit in? Now, if they do the Kittyland area first, Zamperla installed at Adventureland in Iowa this amazing super flume that has a kid's coaster and a log flume attached to it. However, at Dollywood, they have an amazing Gerstlauer multi-launch family coaster named Fire Chaser Express. And it is of this model, this multi-launch family coaster, that I could potentially see one of these more small and compact layouts that are available through Gerstlauer, or possibly a custom, smaller, more compact layout of this model for Kennywood. I think it would be an absolute home run for the park. Kennywood is one of those parks that actually could use a steel family style coaster in addition to Skyrocket, because that can be a little bit intense for people. This is a step down from Skyrocket in intensity and definitely a place in the park, so I could definitely see one of those. Next, the Gerstlauer spinner. Now, I said that they have purchased several spinners from Maurer, but I don't think that necessarily means that we could rule out a Gerstlauer spinner, especially if they decide to address that exterminator area first. And one of these, they do make a few different layouts, not the identical layouts that they used to make when all the Pandemonium versions were being sold and installed in just about every Six Flags park that, or at least every other Six Flags park that you could possibly find. They are a little bit different, a little bit improved, and I definitely could see this being a worthy replacement to the Exterminator in the next handful of years. Although I don't necessarily see the Exterminator going out in the next year or two. I think it still has probably 3 to 5 left on its life cycle, if I had to guess. The next possibility is very popular in Europe. Now, this is called a Gerstlauer bobsled coaster. Now, when we in the States here think about a bobsled, we think about the ones that were made by Mock Rides and the ones that were made by Intamin, like Reptilian at King's Dominion and like La Vibora at Six Flags over Texas. However, in Europe, they still had those types of bobsled coasters, but this bobsled model is more a replacement for what wild mice are. And you won't see many repetitive wild mice coasters overseas like you do here in the States, because a lot of parks have transitioned to a ride more similar and akin to this. And I surely don't see anything wrong with that. These things look absolutely amazing, and if I'm not mistaken, if Kennywood were to look into getting one of these for a Exterminator replacement, or just as a next coaster, it would be the only one in America, I believe. Now, next is going to be this bad boy. Now, you probably didn't realize that Gerstlauer made an invert. Well, they do. And this bad boy is at Tusenfryd in Norway. And the cool thing about this is Tusenfryd is a Parques Reunidos park. You can check out the layout here. Not only is it a launched invert, but it is a swing launch invert, which definitely adds to a little bit of the coolness. Now, it is worth mentioning that Parque del Cafe down in Colombia is currently in the process here in 2024 of building this, which is just a few 100 feet longer, I think roughly 200 feet longer in layout, but it has a lift hill, no launches, and it is going to be an invert infinity coaster as well. Now, take a look here of the POV so that you get a little bit of an idea. That first launch forward, it doesn't seem to be really anything forceful whatsoever. The backwards launch, definitely a little bit more intense to be able to pick you up. And now this third one, they do send you, as you can see, and you get whipped over into that little dive loop. And this looks like such a cool coaster to me. And I don't know what your thoughts are. Please leave your thoughts down below, not just on this ride, but on everything that we've talked about. But personally, I think that Kennywood could use and would definitely benefit from an additional launch coaster in the park. It seems to be the wave of the future. Number two, Kennywood has desperately needed an invert for years and years and years. This is the perfect opportunity for the park to get that invert finally. Get it inexpensively. Get it from a unique ride. And probably most importantly, make sure it's in a compact space. If you guys enjoy content like this, please don't forget to give a like to the video. These do take quite a bit of time to make. Also, if you could, please consider subscribing to the channel. All that stuff goes a long way to helping us outpace the YouTube algorithm, try to get our content in front of more people that can enjoy it. So let me know down below in the comments, guys, what do you think of a Gerstlauer launched Infinity invert coming to Kennywood? It would definitely be the first ever in North America and in the States. Also, let me know what you think about the potential for a bobsled coaster or something else from Gerstlauer, Mauer, or even that Zamperla that we talked about. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time, guys, we'll see you out there.